Chapter 63-36. Helena naturally obeyed Charlie's words. She would execute whatever Charlie decided. Afterward, the four of them moved to the banquet hall of the palace, in order to make the conversation more convenient. After the meal was served, Helena withdrew all the servants and stood up to pour wine for Charlie and her grandmother. Then she looked at Maria and asked her with a smile, "What would Kathy like to drink? How about orange juice?" Maria smiled lightly, pointed at the red wine in Helena's hand, and said, "I'll drink red wine too." Helena asked hurriedly, "Is Kathy over 18 years old? Here people over 18 can drink alcohol. And they can only drink low-alcohol drinks." Maria nodded, looked at Helena's clear and transparent big eyes, and said with a smile in her eyes, "Don't worry, sister, I'm over 18 years old." Helena was still a little worried, and couldn't help looking at Charlie with a face full of inquiry. Charlie coughed twice and said to Helena, "Pour her some, anyway, the laws of Northern Europe can't control her." Helena didn't ask any more questions and poured some red wine for Maria. After a glass of wine, Maria's face was as red as if she had put on blush, which made Helena quite worried, fearing that she was really underage and couldn't handle alcohol. Fortunately, Maria only blushed after drinking, and didn't look drunk, so Helena was relieved a little. At this time, Charlie said, "Helena, can you help me find a farm in Northern Europe?" "Farm?" Helena asked in surprise. "What kind of farm is Mr. Wade talking about? Is it mainly for growing crops or raising livestock?" Charlie said, "It's best to have both. The scale doesn't need to be large, but the environment must be good, and the place must be safe and quiet enough." Helena nodded. "I will ask someone to look for it later. If there is a suitable one, I will organize the information and send it to Mr. Wade." Charlie said again, "If you meet a suitable one, I will trouble you to buy it for me in the name of the Nordic royal family." "No problem." After the four of them had dinner, Helena took the two of them to the city in the royal car to experience the night view. At the same time, Duncan and Charlie's second uncle Marcus also arrived in Oslo by plane. Since the Yin family and China have reached a deep investment cooperation, China has specially perfected a set of domestic identities for them to facilitate their travel and to ensure their personal safety. By entering and exiting customs with domestic identities, they can avoid the monitoring of the Yin family by the Warrior's Den. Immediately after they arrived in Oslo, there was also a technical team from Silicon Valley drawn by the Yin family. This technical team will be responsible for docking and accepting the AI model built by Simon for Helena, and they will be fully responsible for the overall operation and maintenance in the future. According to the plan, this group of people stayed in a 5-star hotel in Oslo. Marcus has begun to plan to buy real estate in Oslo, because after the AI model is received, these people will stay in Northern Europe and be responsible for the operation and maintenance of the entire data center. That night, Charlie and Maria lived in the palace, and Helena prepared 2 guest rooms for them in advance. The next day, when the sky in Oslo gradually brightened, the time was already 9:30 in the morning local time, and Charlie and Maria had already come to the data center. This data center is located about 80 kilometers outside the city of Oslo. It covers a large area and has 3 large rectangular buildings. The whole building looks like a large manufacturing plant. Inside the 3 buildings are data processing equipment built by Simon with real money, since all the most advanced computing equipment is used. The computing power here is excellent. The Nordic country is rich in minerals and self-sufficient in energy, so it can provide a surging power supply for this data center. In addition, the climate here is cool all year round, which also saves a lot of electricity for heat dissipation for the data center. At this moment, Simon and the entire AI construction team are doing the final inspection inside. Marcus and Duncan also arrived at the scene with technicians in the computer room with the roaring fan. Simon watched the technicians constantly debugging parameters and testing software. His heart was already flying out of the computer room. What he couldn't wait to do most now was to get half of the blood-dispersing and heart-saving pills. In order to minimize the delay, he had already asked people to prepare the $50 billion needed to buy the pills. As long as Helena nodded, he could arrange for someone to pay immediately. Just when Simon was a little distracted, a staff member ran in and shouted, "Boss, the Nordic Queen is here."